All right, I got a little mouth interaction for y'all real quick. Beep, 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 beep. For so many, that's a dreaded sound, right? Raise your hand if you wake up to the sound of an alarm clock every morning. Ah, yes, my people, my people. If you're anything like me and you're not really a morning person, that sound, that's like cringeworthy, right? But that's the sound of determination. That's the sound of dedication. That's the sound of how bad do you really want it. That's the sound that I heard for about 9 months, maybe about 200 mornings when I woke up earlier than a girl would have liked to, before it was time to get ready for work, to work on my very first manuscript, AKA write my very first book. Now, I had managed large-scale red carpets all over the country. I designed a pair of earrings with these very hands right here, worn by Miss Beyonce herself, okay? Yes, thank you, yes, clap for that. We love B, right? But this was finally my time to work on the project that was gonna force me to quit playing small. So I hopped on the 6 train. That alarm, that sound that morning, I heard it, that alarm sound, and I got up and I walked through Harlem, hopped on the 6 train like J-Lo, headed downtown to the NBA offices on 5th Avenue, walked into a slightly dimly lit conference room, sat my manager down, looked her in the eyes, and let her know that I was gonna be putting in my 2 weeks notice because I had finally decided to quit playing small. That alarm, those mornings, that sacrifice, that decision to quit playing small, that's what's allowed me to be standing here on the stage in front of you and with you all today. So who am I, right? My name is Ahyiana Angel, and I'm a former sports entertainment publicist turned traditionally published author who quit my old life to live in London for a little while, to travel throughout the world and have amazing experiences in search of having a life that was more in line with my goals and what I felt was my idea of success. Oh, okay, we're missing a slide, but it's all right. We're gonna keep going. I'm now the host of the personal development podcast, Switch, Pivot, or Quit, and I am the author of the book, as you see up there, Quit Playing Small, and I'm the founder of Mayzie Media. And a part of the reason that I created Mayzie Media was for some of the conversations, same reason some of the conversations that we were having yesterday about just not seeing yourself in spaces. So I wanted to create a platform for us to be able to share our voices and our stories. So today, what are we gonna talk about? We're gonna get into how to identify if you're playing small, and we're gonna learn to shine. Like our friend says, shining, 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 yeah, right? All of this winning, hey, that's what we're gonna do, right? So, I wanna share one thing with you. Now, this is something that you may not have heard before because people don't readily say this to you. But I feel it on my heart to say this to you and to share this with you. Because no one ever said it to me. I had to say it to myself. So I'm gonna say it to you. You all the way back there too. You can do hard things, girl. Give it up for yourselves, because you can do hard things. So during our time together, with that in mind that you can do hard things, I want to teach you how to shine, and I want to take you through my method that I use to help myself learn how to shine and to get from in the shadows to push myself out into the light so that my voice and my ideas could be seen and could be heard. Now, I want to challenge you to think of one area in your life, one area where you're going to plot your shine, one area where you've maybe been thinking a little small, you maybe been putting it off to the side and thinking maybe I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later. I don't want to worry about it right now. One day it'll come. That's the thing that I want you to have in your mind when we're getting ready to put our idea to the shine test. Now, this could be an idea that you've been sitting on. This could be you, whether you've been thinking about vying for a promotion, or whether it's like starting a new business or something like that. You can put any of these through the shine test, so I want you to have that in mind. But you see this young lady here in this picture? How does she look? She looks uncomfortable, right? That's one thing I want to let you know, though. I gotta warn you that in order to shine, you will have to be uncomfortable. You will have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Just like me standing here on this stage in front of you guys today. I never thought I'd be doing anything like this. This is not super comfortable, okay? But I'm doing it. You know why? Because I'm forcing myself to quit playing small and to shine, right? So I'm expecting to see y'all doing the same thing, whatever it looks like for you, okay? Now, how to identify if you're playing small? Some of you may be thinking, she doesn't know me. How does she know I'm playing small? You might be thinking, I've done some things. I've achieved some things. I've gotten promotions. I've worked on big projects, all these things, right? So no, there's no way you could possibly be playing small, right? Wrong. We all do it. I've done some things too. I've achieved some things too. But guess what? I still have to catch myself playing small. So now we're gonna identify some of the ways that we might be playing small. The first way is approval. If you're constantly finding yourself seeking the approval of your family and friends, worried about what your peers are gonna say, worried about what your colleagues are gonna say, all the things outside of what you know you need to be doing, and you're seeking that approval, that's the easy way to know you playing small. Mistakes. If you're afraid of making mistakes, if you're worried about doing things or taking that next step forward because you think, oh, what happens if I make a mistake? That's how you know you're playing small. Guess what? Mistakes are proof of progress. If you're not making mistakes, you're not living. If you're not making mistakes, you're not doing anything, okay? And I think TK and the ladies, they talked about that as well, right? You have to be making some mistakes and getting some no's and getting out there in order to know that you're moving yourself forward. The drama. Now, let's be honest for a second, okay? I, just like anybody else, like a little drama, right? The People magazines, the Inside editions, the Entertainment Tonights, all of that, right? We want to know what's going on. We like, okay, what happened, right? But we can only partake in a little bit of the drama because what the drama does is it distracts you. When your girlfriend calls you and is like, girl, I got the latest tea. You want to know what happened? That's a distraction from what you really should be doing, from what you really should be working on, the things that you really should be channeling your energy into. Silenced. How many have found themselves in a meeting before, around the table with their colleagues, this brainstorming meeting, or you're supposed to be throwing out ideas, and you have this brilliant idea that crosses through your mind, but you don't raise your hand and you don't speak up and say anything? Raise your hand if you've been in that position before. Yes, most of us have. That's how you know you're playing small. When you don't raise your hand, when you don't speak up, when you don't say, I have this idea, even if you don't think it could go anywhere, even if you think that maybe they're gonna shun it, playing small is not saying anything. When you quit playing small, you speak up and you say, I have an idea. So when you allow your voice to be silenced, or when you silence your own voice, that's how you know you're playing small. Fault. We all know that person that's never at fault for anything, right? It's never their fault. They didn't do it. It was somebody else's doing that made it happen in the wrong way. if you're never at fault and you're always excusing yourself and you're never accountable, that's how you know you're playing small. Fantasy. And you're probably thinking, where is she going with this? If you're living in a fantasy and you're thinking you're going to mantra your way out, you're going to affirm your way out, you're going to do all the things, right? The universe is just going to magically come into your living room and give you some blessings that you didn't know were coming your way. Wrong. No. You have to be willing to do the work. You have to establish the goals. You have to go out there and not just sit around and hope for good luck, right? And if you're sitting around hoping for good luck and waiting for the universe to work it out, that's how you know you're playing small. So now we're going to get into our shine. We're going to learn how to shine. So the S for shine is should I do it? The H is how would I do it? The I is it innovative for me? The N is there a need for it? E, what are your expectations? Okay? And don't worry, we're going to continue to go through these so you don't have to write them all down. Or yeah, I guess you could take a picture. Should I do it? So this is the time where I want you to have that thing in mind that you've been playing small with, that thing that you've been putting back and pushing off and saying, I don't think I'm qualified. I don't think I should do it. This is when I want you to have that in mind, right? You're going to put that through this test. So for me, it was, should I write this book, right? The thing that I was putting through this shine test was that thing that I decided to get up in the mornings and work on, this book. So when you ask yourself, should I do it? If I quit playing small, would I determine that I should do this, right? This is a time where you want to convince yourself. You maybe even write a pros and cons list. And when you write that pros and cons list, I want you to take a second look at those cons, and I want you to play devil's advocate. Let's say one of your cons is, what if nobody reads this book? Oh, but girl, what if they do? You know what I mean? I want you to really dig in and start being an advocate for yourself and start thinking against the things that is natural to come up in our minds and think negative about ourselves or second guess ourselves or doubt ourselves. This is where I want you to convince yourself that you can do it, that you should do it. This is your opportunity to make a case for your dreams and your ideas. Now, for me, I wanted a career change. So when I'm asking myself, should I do this? Should I write this book? Well, if I wrote this book and I was able to get it traditionally published, which was my goal, that would give me a nice segue into a career change, right? If I wanted a foundation in a new career, that would give me a good foundation in a new career, right? So when I'm asking myself, should I do this? My answer was absolutely. Take a second, ask yourself, should you do it? Jot a few things down. Then we get into how would I do it? This is when we're tapping into our practical side. If I quit playing small, could I think of ways to execute on this idea or project? When we're playing small, we feel like, oh, this is too overwhelming. I want to write a book, but oh my gosh, it's going to take so long. How could I ever do it? When could I ever find the time? Like, oh, no, this is a time where you want to start thinking practical. For me, what did that look like? I had to wake my ass up early in the morning. I don't like getting up early, but the sacrifice was getting up an hour earlier so that I could carve time out of my schedule so that I could actually do it. For you, it might not be writing a book. For you, it might be writing a screenplay. For you, it might be setting up meetings or interviews or doing things on the back end for your new podcast. Whatever it looks like for you, you have to be willing to sacrifice and carve out that time. I also took workshops. I took classes. I did things outside of work, outside of in my free time that I knew would push me forward. So when I'm saying think practical, think of the smaller things that you can do today or tomorrow to push you forward in whatever that goal is or whatever you're looking to do. This is also the time to invest in yourself. If you're thinking, how would I do it, but I don't have the skills yet? Okay, maybe one of your practical things is you go sign up and take that class. Start really writing down some of the easier things that you can do and approachable things that you can do in order to create this loose plan of action so that you can shine, honey. Then you want to ask yourself, is it innovative for me? If I quit playing small, would this be innovative for me? Not for the world, okay? Let's not overwhelm ourselves. We're not talking about innovation for the world. We're talking about innovation for you. Innovation is just introducing new ideas, right? Something original, something creative. If you were to do this thing, if you were to vie for that promotion, if you were to start this project, if you were to start that podcast, would it be innovative for you? For me, writing this book, no one knew me as an author. I was a publicist. So would this be innovative for me? Absolutely. Would it be creative for me? Absolutely. Let me just tell you this. So I wrote this whole book, right? I get this traditional publishing deal. We're going through all the different edits. We get to the point where it's finalized. The book is coming out the next day. And I'm sitting there in my room, and I was thinking, oh my God, I wanted this, but now they're gonna read all my thoughts, all the sex scenes in the book, all the curse words, everything. My mom, my grandmother, my dad. Oh my God, this is horrible. This is horrible. But it was innovative for me. Right? Nobody knew that side of me. Nobody knew what I was thinking in this head. Nobody knew that creative side of me. So I want you to challenge yourself and ask yourself, this thing that I'm thinking about, is it innovative for me? Would people be shocked and surprised that I've done this? Then that's how you know, okay, she ready. She gonna stop quit playing small now. She gonna quit playing small. Come on, get it. Is there a need for it? If I quit playing small, would I see the need for this? Sometimes you can't see the need for it because you're so busy playing small and thinking small that you're like, oh, nobody wants that. You're doubting yourself again, you're second guessing, you're questioning whether there's validity to it, whether people would actually be interested. But the need could be internal or external. For me, writing this book, I thought the need was internal. I thought that I needed to do this because this was something that I had been thinking about doing, but just hadn't done yet, right? This was something that was gonna propel me forward in a new career. This was something that was going to help me create a name for myself. This was something that was going to be innovative for me, right? This was something that I thought, if I do this, I could have a legacy. You know, my name would be in print. You can't take that away from somebody. So I was thinking, this is just for me. This is internal. But what I didn't know is that my story in sharing my journey with other people and actually doing this was going to create an external need. And that's a part of the reason that I created the Switch, Pivot, or Quit podcast. As I shared with people that, yes, I quit my job. No, I didn't have a job lined up. No, I didn't have a publishing deal lined up. Yes, I got a publishing deal 4 months later. Yes, my book is gonna be on Walmart and Target store shelves. And yes, I'm now no longer in this position where I dread getting up in the morning and going to work because I can't stand being at this place anymore and being micromanaged, okay? When I shared that with people, they were inspired. And I found out just how many people didn't feel fulfillment from their journey, from what they were doing day to day. And I was like, oh, this is a thing. While I thought it was just me, it was a thing. And so that's why I created the Switch, Pivot, or Quit podcast, so that women like us could share our stories and we can know that we're not alone and we can see how other people have navigated their journey and take bits and pieces and tools from their journey. So for me, I thought that the need was internal, but the need actually ended up being external. And what I want to encourage you to do is think about how you show up in this world. You may think that this need is internal for you as well, but guess what? You have gifts and talents that this world needs to hear from you. And if you do not share those gifts and talents with this world, if you do not let your ideas come out, if you do not let your voice come out, you are not only doing yourself a disservice, you're doing the world a disservice. because they will never get to experience you and all the amazingness that you have to offer. And I mean that. I'm so serious about that. Thank you. And finally, what are your expectations? If you quit playing small, what would your expectations actually be? If you dreamed your biggest dream, what would your expectations be for this project, this idea, this promotion, this thing that you're thinking about? So for me, a virtually unknown author, no skin in the game, naturally, when I had this book released, I expected to be a New York Times bestselling author. Hey, a girl could dream, right? But I'm just kidding, but I'm not kidding. I didn't make it, but at the same time, because I knew that that was my expectation, I put goals and things in place that would push me further and harder than I had ever pushed myself before. I knew that I wanted to make a big splash with this, so I created a whole 7-city tour by myself, right? I didn't have a publisher pushing me up, because if you're not a celebrity author, then they kind of don't care. So I created all these things myself and created avenues to put myself on the forefront, because my expectations were to do something big with this project. So think about your expectations. You know what you want. You really know what you want. Even if you've never verbalized it to somebody else, you know what you want. You also know what feels good to you, right? You know what you would feel accomplished in having done. You know what you would feel proud of. You know the types of things that you would want to share with other people and say, oh my God, I did this thing, right? So acknowledge that. Acknowledge that, and also ask for what you want. If you have your expectations set, remember, people are not going to give you anything. If you want a certain amount of money from that promotion, ask for what you want. If you want a certain amount of money for executing that project, or if you want producer credentials, whatever it is that you want, ask for what you want. Because if you don't ask for what you want, your expectations won't be met. Now's the time to put your ideas through the shine test. So when you leave here today, you've had 2 days of amazingness, right? I'm sure there's a ton of things floating through your heads, a ton of ideas floating through your heads. I want you to take that big idea, and I want you to put that through the shine test. And I really want you to be serious about it. I want you to sit down and spend some time on it, because this is the time for you to shine. We all have a limited amount of time on this earth. We don't know what that looks like. I don't want you to live with regrets and to be on your last days and think, gosh, what if I would have just tried? No, try now. Try tomorrow. Try tonight. Do whatever you need to do to push your ideas forward. So today we covered how to identify if you're playing small and how to put those ideas through the shine test. Does everybody feel comfortable with the shine test? Do you get it? Give me a hand clap if you get it. All right. Because y'all so quiet in here. Y'all did a couple giggles and whatnot, but I need energy, baby. Now, I want to encourage you to stop hiding your greatness from the world. I want to encourage you to be bold with your decisions. I want to encourage you to tap into the courage to quit playing small. And I want to share this with you. This is something that just kind of came to me during my journey. And I realized your greatest success lives behind your greatest fear. Let that sink in, okay? If you're searching for this success, if there's some things that you've been vying for in your mind but haven't actually put out there in the forefront, you have to be willing to look that fear in the face, say, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it anyway. I don't care what they think. I don't care what they have to say. I'm ready to shine it, shine it, shine it, shine it, yeah. You know, you gotta be ready, honey. And I also want you to make quit playing small your silent mantra, okay? So the next time you're sitting in that conference room with all those men and you have that idea and you're intimidated and you feel silenced, or you're silencing yourself and you're thinking, I don't wanna say it, I want you to think of me. I want you to think of this room full of women right here supporting you, and I want you to remember and tap yourself on the shoulder, not literally, but quit playing small. The next time you're thinking of an idea that you want to share with your girlfriends, but you think, oh, they're going to think it's stupid. Or the next time you want to share with your manager that you want to actually go for this promotion or you want to work on this big project, but you're thinking, oh, no, they're going to say I'm not qualified. I want you to remember, quit playing small. So as you go throughout your life, I want you to adopt this as your mantra because we like those mantras. We can't just depend on them, right? We need more than a mantra. But I want you to remember, quit playing small. Quit playing small, quit playing small, quit playing small. Keep tapping yourself on the shoulder with that and push yourself forward because you got the juice, baby. Okay, so we asked for some questions ahead of time. Some of you may have gotten an email asking you for your career-related questions. So now we're going to get into those questions. These were questions that I received in advance. We're going to start with those, and then we're going to open it up for you to come and ask any questions that you may have. So the first question is, I like my full-time job, but I'd like to quit in the next few years to go independent. How do I work on building a business on the side without feeling dead all the time? That's Hannah C. I would suggest that you set goals. You set goals and you prioritize and you outsource. If you have a full-time job, if you feel like you don't have extra money, figure out where you can cut back, get some extra money on your side so that you can outsource the things that maybe you can't exactly do and you don't have the time for or that might make you feel burnt out. But this is the reality, you guys. When I said I made earrings worn by Beyonce, that's because I had co-created a jewelry line at the same time that I was working my 9 to 5. And I would stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes if we had a new line coming out or we had a photo shoot or we had a delivery that needed to be made. I was tired, okay? This is the reality. If you're chasing your goals, if you're trying to do dual things, you will probably be tired for a period of time. But if you're being smart about it, it may not be a long time. You do what you need to do for the time that you need to do it, you sacrifice and you get it done. If you're worried about being tired and burning yourself out, guess what? Maybe this dual lifestyle and trying to get to that next big thing, it might not be for you. Just might not be. That's just real talk. Okay, our next question is, I don't want to leave the field of education, but I do have other dreams in podcasting and social justice. I've talked to my mentors and done more self-talk than I care to mention now. How do you get past the fear and finally make the leap into the unknown? I say you force yourself to start doing other things that are uncomfortable. What did we talk about before? Me being on this stage is not exactly comfortable for you guys, for me. You guys are all sitting out there staring at me, looking at me, wanting me to perform, do something. I think y'all want me to do like a backflip or a cartwheel or something. I can't, okay? I can't. It's not always comfortable, right? But you have to put yourself in situations that are uncomfortable. Before I quit my job, and let me also just say this, I am not an advocate for quitting your job, okay? I am really not. I am an advocate for doing what you need to do to make yourself happy. I don't know what that looks like. Only you know what that looks like. But before I walked away from my job, one of the things that I did that was completely out of my comfort zone is I took an acting class. Now, mind you, I took all types of classes, flying trapeze class, sewing class, all these classes, because I was trying to figure out what did I like, right? But that acting class made me real uncomfortable. We had to remember some lines. We had to recite it in front of the whole class. And I was like, what did you sign up for? I was really uncomfortable. But that also helped to prepare me for moments like this, where it's uncomfortable. So do things that are pushing you outside of your comfort zone so that you can start to feel that fear and feel what it feels like, and then know that you can get past it and know that you can do more. Absolutely, you're welcome, boo. And then ask yourself if you want to die living with the idea or knowing that you never tried. Do you want to die knowing that you never tried? I don't think so. So if that's not getting over fear enough, I don't know what else to tell you. Push yourself in a way that feels like, guess what? If I don't do this, I could die tomorrow and I would never have tried it. Try it, girl. Do it. Get out there. Okay, next question is, my resume dates me. Should I take off when I graduated and the dates for when I worked at places and instead focus on what I did and where I worked instead of when I did all that? Yes, you should. Ageism is a real thing. You know, as you get older in the world, when you're young and, hey, I'm coming into the office, I'm feeling good, I'm young, I'm cute, you know, everybody know you young, you cute, you just graduated from school, you know, you feel good, right? You're on top of the world. But then you start popping gray hairs, you start walking into the office with your little stretch pants on or whatever, because you know you picked up a little weight and you're feeling like, oh, you know, I got all the things to do, right? It shows sometimes too. But the whole point is people are looking at you and they're judging you whether you like it or not, right? You come into an interview, they're judging you. You send in a resume that has 86 on it, they judging you. You know what I mean? And it's not fair, but it happens. So you want to set yourself up to be in a position where they're looking at your skill set and they're judging you off of what they think you can bring to the table and what value you offer to the situation versus sitting up there calculating, oh, she graduated in 86, she must be. Don't even give them that opportunity, okay? So yes, I do think you should take your years off. And I don't know what it really looks like to take your years off of the current jobs. I don't know how acceptable that is because I'm not a resume expert per se, but I do think you should take the year off that you graduated for sure, and maybe even try and vet that idea of taking off the years for the jobs. See how that shows up and if it works for you. How much can I do as one person? Can I produce multiple podcasts, one for profit, one non-for-profit? How do you start a podcast network? This is Martha H. Martha, you got all the questions, girl. Okay, so yes, you can produce multiple podcasts. Do I think you should? If you've never produced a podcast before, no. I think you should be good at one thing first. Maybe it's a situation where one podcast builds on the other. Maybe the non-for-profit podcast can come first, and then that gives you a nice foundation and a set of people who you have their attention now because of maybe what you're doing and it's so community-focused or what have you. And then you're able to do the for-profit after because now you've created this base and you can make one build off of the other. I don't exactly know what these podcast ideas are, but I do think that it is important to focus on one first, especially if you're doing other things as well, so that you can be known for something. Nobody likes to be put in a box, but the reality is people need to put us in a box in order to consume us and in order to understand us. People need to know where you fit, where you show up. So if you can go ahead and master something, then you'll be better suited to move on to the next thing and make that a success as well. In terms of starting a podcast network, there are so many things that are considered a podcast network. All the networks look different. I think the thing that you should mainly focus on and worry about when you're thinking of should I start one is what's the through line? Is there a through line for you starting this podcast network? And what's the mission? Why are you doing it? It's really gathering a collective of shows together, and does that make sense for you? Is there a need? Go back to need, right? Is there a need for it? That's what I would say. So those are my answers to the questions that were submitted. If anybody else has questions, come on down. Let's go. Questions? No? Oh, you coming? Okay. Girl, look at you all cute and shining. Shining, yeah. Hey.
Thank you. I actually never wear anything like this, so your talk kind of aligns with like where I'm going.
Yes!
So thank you.
Give it up. I love it. Being bold.
Thank you. So my question is mostly, I've gone through a lot in my life where it's given me the internal monologue that I'm not enough.
Oh.
And so I'm wondering, is there any advice that you can give to people who feel like they don't have enough creative spirit?
Enough creative spirit. Mm-hmm. That one, that makes me sad.
Yeah.
Who's to tell you that you don't have creative spirit? This is your narrative, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so get out there and start creating. Get out there and start putting yourself in some situations to create. Like we said, even if it's uncomfortable, start taking some classes. Maybe it's an art class, a painting class, a creative writing class, something that's gonna force you to have created something at the end of that, right? So it'll just show you that you can go through the process of creation. I think sometimes it's a confidence thing too. So start doing some things that can help you boost your confidence, right? Start putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations and really showing up. And I think knowledge really helps us when we're not very confident. So if there's certain areas that you know you want to be excellent in or that you want to show up bigger in, start beefing up your knowledge in those areas. Start reading books. Start listening to podcasts about those areas and spaces. Start taking informational meetings so that you have a wealth of knowledge. So when it comes down to it, even when you try to question yourself, you can't. It goes nowhere. Because now, you know, you're like, I got this. I know. You know what I mean? And you can just rattle off stuff, and then your confidence will continually increase. And then with that, your creativity will increase because now you have confidence about your creativity and about your whole entire self.
Okay, so you're pretty much telling me to shine through the self-doubt.
Yes,
that's pretty much? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
And wear that shirt every day.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, how
Hi.
are you? Hi, my name is Nara.
Hi, Nara.
I hope my question's not too similar to her question, but
Sure.
the past 2 days, I have been so inspired by so many people, and I have been surrounded with so much female excellence that I don't know where to start, and I find that I frequently become overwhelmed with, like, what do I do next? How do I get to the next step? So do you have any advice on pacing, like how to get yourself, like, continually working so you don't burn yourself out? I frequently burn myself out and work too hard, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just did too much, so.
Yeah, well, we all know you have to take it one step at a time, right? We've all heard that before. But what does that look like for you? Let's stop generalizing stuff because I'm a problem solver. What do you want to do?
I've had 2 podcasts already. I had a podcast with a coworker of mine, and I'm not sure if it's going to continue, so I think I want to start my own now.
Okay.
But since I've had 2 fail, I feel like I put too much into it without slowing myself down.
Who said they failed?
Myself, I guess, yeah. Myself. I mean, I'm glad that I did them.
Yeah.
You know, I put them on Spotify, so they're always going to be there as pieces of work. But I'm not sure how to start over, I guess.
I would caution you to never say that they failed again. Okay, because you tried, you put it out there. And in this world of podcasting, one of the things that people don't talk about is the numbers, right? People don't tell you how many downloads they get. They don't tell you how much revenue they're making off their podcast. So sometimes things look all shiny and pretty and great, right? But if you were getting, like, let's say 150, 160 downloads per episode, you were winning, you were average. Right? Okay. You're right there with everybody else. People will have you thinking that in order to be winning in podcasting, you have to be getting thousands of downloads and that your peers are getting thousands of downloads, but they're probably not. Money is based on a CPM, right? If you're going to make money from a podcast, and that's cost per thousand, right? Most people are not getting thousands of downloads to be making tons of dollars from their podcast. So when you say that your podcast is a failure, is it because you think you weren't having the kind of listenership that you thought you should be having?
No, more so because me and my co-host kind of broke apart.
Oh, girl, please, that's life.
Okay.
That's not a failure.
Okay.
She just wasn't the one for you.
Okay,
You weren't the one for her.
Okay.
Y'all didn't judge
Thank
together.
you.
It's okay. You won't judge with everybody.
Okay.
You don't have to judge with everybody. So now you just take your judge on and do your own thing by yourself.
Perfect.
And you will be winning with it, okay? And when it comes to all the information that you've gathered here today and trying to figure out, okay, how can I not be overwhelmed with doing this thing on my own? I say, take all of this as inspiration and as that fuel to that fire, but look at what you've already done. Go back to your notes of how you guys started that podcast and start just recreating that same process. What did you guys do to launch it? What did you do to market it? How did you record your shows? All those things, just don't try and recreate the wheel. Just get into what you've already done and make it work for you without boo, okay?
Thank you.
There you go. You're welcome. Hi.
I think I struggle because I really want to shine in that particular area, but
Okay.
I just like so many things. And I feel like I'm like, oh, I want to start a podcast. And then the next week I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be a documentary filmmaker. and then the next week I'm like, wait, I could be a doctor. And so it's like, how do I, and I know there's like so many resources out there, and I could like focus my effort. If I could just focus my efforts in one area, I could like become an expert in that area.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what that area is yet. So like, how would you suggest finding where that is?
I think you need to start getting strict with yourself. Start having some discipline. If you think that you want to start a podcast, let's say, work on it. Do it. And when you start thinking, oh, I want to be a documentary filmmaker, that sounds great, I should do that. No. No, say no. Tell yourself like I do, sit down somewhere, have several seats. You're working on this podcast, get this podcast together, get it to where you need it to be. Figure out if it's viable for you. Figure out if it can work before you start entertaining other ideas. Shut yourself down. You know what I mean? Yes, we want to shine, but we also have to know when to shut ourselves down too and say, slow down. Because if you're never focusing on one thing and you're never allowing yourself to see something through, you don't really know what you're capable of. You don't really know what it could be. You're doing yourself a disservice because you're cutting it off before you actually hit that finish line or before you achieve some kind of success with it, some type of something that you get back that shows you, oh, okay, this is actually working or this is actually good. You know, you have to give yourself a chance, right? And if you don't give yourself a chance to see something through, you don't know what the possibilities could be. So really sit down, take some of those ideas, put them through the shine test, and see which one makes the most sense for you or which one feels the best. And you're young, I know you are, you young and cute and everything, and you like, oh yeah, girl, I wanna do this, I wanna do. You have a lot of time. You have time to do a couple things or try a thing over here. If it doesn't work, try a thing over there, try a thing over there. You have time. Just remember that you have that time and be more disciplined with yourself. Like, really be disciplined with yourself. And if you need somebody to hold you accountable, that friend that when you have this new idea, that friend that'll tell you, sit down, you're doing too much, focus on the podcast, find that friend. Because sometimes you do need somebody outside that will kind of help center you again.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hello.
Hi, Ahyiana. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you for doing this. So let's say you start shining, and then people start noticing, and then you're like, shit, I have to keep showing up, shining. How do you keep showing up, sparkling and shining consistently? Because once you start something, it keeps growing, right? And then how do you also manage when that shining then puts you in rooms that you're not used to being in, and meeting people that are just so outside what you're used to?
I think you have to think back to what do you really want when it comes to being in those rooms, you know? I could have said no to this opportunity because it felt a little scary, right? But what do I really want? I want everybody to know about Mayzie Media. I want everybody to be able to tell their stories and for them to be heard. I want to be inspiration for people. I want to encourage people. I want to be your biggest cheerleader. So if I say no, then I won't have the opportunity to do that. Remember, what do you really want? If what you want is in that room, you just gotta suck it up and put yourself in that room. Put your big girl panties on and get in the room, girl. And when it comes to your shine, and if you feel like, oh, I'm shining too much.
Oh, not that.
You know,
okay, it's not
shine is just blinding, you know? Then I think that you gotta ask yourself according to who and why. You know, why does it feel? Because I do think that could be like a confidence thing.
Okay.
In the sense that if you really want to shine, like, you're not gonna shy away from the things that continue to make you shine. You're gonna, even if it feels scary, you're gonna step toward those things because you know that that's what you want. But if you're shying away from it, I think it might be worth evaluating, like, is this really what I wanted? Is this in line with my person and who I am? You know, because I keep saying to you guys that it's scary to be up here and all of that, or it's intimidating, but I'm a big personality, in case you hadn't noticed. I got a big mouth. I love to talk. That's one of the reasons that podcasting works for me. So, you know, like, yeah, I may have been nervous when I first walked out here, but I'm not now. You know why? Because this is me. This is my element. This is what I need to be doing. It's in line with me. So I think if something is in line with you and what feels right for you and makes sense for you, you won't be intimidated by the shine or scared by the shine.
Okay.
But don't do things because you think it's what you need to be doing. Do things because that's what you actually want to be doing, or that's what you feel in your soul, like this is where I need to be, this is where I need to show up.
Okay.
That's why I think it would make the difference.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Damona Hoffman from the Dates and Mates podcast.
Hi.
And I've had a lot of opportunities and a lot of opportunities that didn't go quite the way I expected. A couple of TV shows that only lasted one season, and
But you had a TV show.
I had a TV show.
But it only
I had
lasted
twice,
one season.
and only lasted one season.
Okay.
So I want to know about like the expectation hangover of like when you launched your book and it wasn't a bestseller. How do you recover from that? How do you iterate and continue to go out there and keep shining if it doesn't always go the way that it was supposed to go in your head?
Well, see, this is the thing. We got to get over the way it was supposed to go because it never does go that way, right? If you want something bad enough or you believe in something bad enough and you believe in yourself enough, you just keep going. I don't look back and dwell on that stuff. I said that to y'all today here about it not being a New York Times bestseller, but I came up with that when I wrote these notes. That's not something I really dwelled on and I really thought about. I was on to the next thing. You gotta keep moving and keep going. It's okay to have reflection, to understand where you've been and where you've come from, but you can't dwell on the things that didn't work out. I think if it didn't work out a certain way, it didn't work out for a reason. If my book had automatically become a New York Times bestseller, would I have been ready for that? Probably not. Would I have known what to do with that? Probably not. But when my next book comes out and it's a New York Times bestseller, will I know what to do with that? Abso-freaking-lutely. You know? So just give yourself time to kind of like go through the paces of these things in that journey and what that looks like. Everything is not gonna always work out the way that you expect that it will, but also think about it ahead of time, even before that show comes out, right? And it doesn't do as well as you think as well as you think it should, right? Before it even comes out, what are my expectations for it? Okay, and if that doesn't happen, what does that mean to me? Nothing. You know why? Because I have done a major thing and a great thing by getting to this place. This place may only exist to get me to that next place. Take it how it is and don't put all this extras on it. Who's to say that you're supposed to be this amazing first time out the gate, new show, wonder, and Hollywood Reporter's talking about her and everything. There's nobody that's been you before you, right? So you have to run your own race. You have to realize you're not comparing yourself, or you shouldn't be comparing yourself with anybody else because you are where you need to be. Okay?
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you guys, that's my time. The clock is at 0. Oh, we didn't even get to, there it is. We should have been on this the whole time because what I want y'all to do is follow Mayzie Media. I want you to follow me on Instagram at Switch Pivot or Quit, and I want you to head to MaysieMedia.com and check it out. And of course, I want y'all to get the Quit Playing Small book on Amazon. It's a book for your daily routine, your morning routine if you have one. If you don't have one, go get yourself one, boo. All right, y'all, thank you.